All right, I'm now joined by a very, very, very special recurring guest, friend of the podcast. It is Chicago White Sox starting pitcher Anthony Kay. Back on. I think the last time I had you on was around Christmas time, but lots happened since then. A lot of good things have happened since then. But Anthony, how are we doing?
Yeah, how's it going? Thanks for having me on. It's been a fun couple months here on the South Side, and we're enjoying it.
Dude, I'm so happy for you, by the way. It's just like you're killing it this season. I watched all of your start against the Guardians the other day, 8Ks, just pumping gas, dude. It was punching tickets left and right. It was so sick. So, like I said, to see how, like, your career has gone in the South Side of Chicago this season. So, I first of all, I just want to say, like, this has been so sick watching. So, congrats on that.
Thank you, appreciate it.
All right, so I wanted to start because I read that this year was very special for a lot of reasons, and one of the reasons was that you made your first start at Yankee Stadium. You had pitched there in relief a little bit before that, but how did that compare to the times you had played at the Yankee Stadium the first time? And like, what was it like sharing the mound of like guys that like you grew up a Yankees fan? So how cool was that?
Yeah, so I mean, this time around, I was just able to have all my family there. As a reliever, they don't know when you're going to be in there or not. So I think I had around like 25 people there, and obviously the game didn't go how I wanted it to go, but just being able to be out there and kind of get the full feeling of Yankee Stadium and having all my friends and family there was really cool.
That's the best. So growing up on Long Island, was there even a thought of becoming a Mets fan, or was it always Yankees the whole time growing up?
I feel like Long Island is more Mets fans actually. So, I mean, my dad, grew up a massive Yankees fan, so kind of was just thrown into the Yankee fandom, and yeah, I never even thought about being a Mets fan.
Who are some of your favorite Yankee like pitchers growing up?
Andy Pettit was my favorite. Tried to, emulate my game towards him a little bit when I was growing up, but I wasn't gifted being like 6'5" like him, so I kind of had to, change it up a little bit and be my own self.
Love that. I think in that same article it was talking about just like, did your dad build you a baseball field in your backyard when you were a kid?
Yeah, we have a pretty big backyard, so we had like he made like a little pitching mound out there, and we had he would throw like nets up on the house so we could hit balls and not have to worry about breaking a window or something. And yeah, I mean, me and my brother were out there a lot, and all my friends, we would always go out there and kind of just throw the ball around and hit and do whatever we need to do.
Yeah, that's so you just had to be the coolest kid in the neighborhood if you had like a full baseball field with like signs. Like, was there ads on the outfield fence too?
Yeah, my dad would like paint on the fences and stuff. I don't even remember what he would paint because it was so long ago now. But I remember like there'd be like patterns and stuff in the fencing.
Dude, that's like when you're a kid growing up and you have like a cool ass backyard and like you're the cool house. That had to be the coolest feeling ever.
Yeah, I mean it was so much fun. I would go out there a lot just by myself. Just we'd have like one of those like pitchback nets back in the
Yep.
day. I'd spend hours just throwing the ball into one of those things.
Did you like visualize yourself like taking them out at Yankee Stadium when you were a kid?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Every time.
Yeah. World Series, Yankee Stadium, and then all these years later, you're like, actually, yeah, you get
Yeah.
like the whole starting experience.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I had a question about just like speaking of the Mets, actually, you were drafted by the Mets out of high school, but decided to go to UConn, and then instead of like trying to stick around a couple years ago and like do an affiliated deal, you went to Japan. I'm curious, like, what your relationship like with risk is, and have you always been somebody that's been like kind of comfortable, taking a leap of faith and really, taking some risks in your career?
Yeah, I mean, it was obviously a huge, thing to go over there and just move across the world. I mean, I don't really think it was, too much of a risk because, all the deals I had over here were minor league deals. So, I think just kind of going over to Japan was just kind of a, once in a lifetime experience. Worst case scenario, I went over there and wasn't good. And then, I still was able to, experience Japan for a year or two. But thankfully we found some success on the mound and we were able to, come back to the big leagues.
Yeah. Do you ever like do you ever replay decisions, or do you ever just like overthink stuff, or are you just very comfortable just like, being where your feet are, pretty level headed?
I like to think I'm pretty level-headed. I try not to overthink stuff, just go with my gut. Um, I mean, there's so many different, decisions and stuff you have to do as a baseball player. So I think it's just kind of something that you kind of just can't really overthink. You can't look back on anything and kind of just, roll with whatever happens, happens.
One area that I'm super fascinated about, and I don't think it gets talked about, is just like having a book out on guys. So like when you came back this season from Japan, it did you feel like there was a book out on you from like your time over there, or were guys still like were they you think they were game planning off of what you had thrown in the bigs a couple years ago, or do you think they were, had updated stuff this season?
Um, I think they had some stuff. I don't think it was, too much because, when I first signed with the White Sox, talking to the pitching coaches and stuff, and they wanted to see a lot of my bullpens in the off season because they're were saying how hard it was to like find video and stuff from Japan. So I think they had like all the analyticals and shapes of all of the pitches and stuff, but I don't think the video was there as much. Um, I mean, if they were going off based of who I was before Japan, it'd be nice for me because I'm a completely different pitcher than what I was before.
Yeah, it's fun. Like so curious about. It's just like one of my favorite clips is when my buddy Brian O'Grady talked about just like everybody, hitters and pitchers know everything about each other. Like there's no secrets in the big leagues, which is such like a cool idea. Like year to year, like when you were in the big leagues the first go round, and even this year, like how quickly do guys and hitters like pick up on that stuff? Is it start to start? You think that guys have learned like who you are?
Yeah, I mean, it's probably at bat to at bat. I mean, the more you face guys, the more they'll see you, and then kind of get a little bit more comfortable facing you. I think it's a little bit different as a pitcher because, you kind of just have to, go right after guys. You can't really trick anyone in the big leagues. You kind of just gotta, throw your best stuff and go right after them. I mean, as a hitter, you can sit on certain stuff, but as a pitcher, you kind of just have to go right after guys.
As a pitcher, like you're obviously you know all the tendencies of like the guys you're facing too, right? Because like so I had my buddy Jake Fraley on and he did a really nice breakdown of facing Kevin Gosman, and it was like this awesome clip, and I posted it and people were freaking out. They're like, "No, you're not supposed to tell the world this because next time you see Kevin Gosman, he's going to know that you're looking for this, this, and this." It's like, don't you already kind of know that? Like, don't you know how hitters are going to like see you and stuff?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think any pitcher is going and looking at a podcast of what you say to someone, and I don't think they're going to pitch you differently. I think, they're going to look at, the analytics and the scouting reports and see what you do well and what you don't do well and kind of go off that.
Yeah, he was like, his splitter. If it starts down, I'm not gonna touch it. Or it starts here, I'm not gonna touch it. If it's up, I'm hitting it. It's like people are like, no, dude, that's you can't say that. So I was
I
like,
mean,
I feel
easier
like,
said than done, also. I mean, Kevin
yeah,
Gosman's got like one of the best splitters in the game. So it's like, good luck trying to lay off of that.
exactly. Yeah, I'm like, I feel like these guys know everything about each other. There's like not, there's so much information and data that like I would find it hard to believe you can really get away with, new stuff or
Yeah.
like changing it up on them.
Yeah, I mean, that's like the biggest difference in like the minor leagues and the big leagues is like down in the minor leagues, guys are just like working on stuff. So like you see, you'll see hitters just absolutely raking in AAA, and then they'll get called up, and it's like what this guy can't hit, and the pitchers will absolutely abuse that until you figure it out. So like if you can't hit a slider, you're only gonna get sliders. And I think that's the biggest difference. Like in the minor leagues, you're working on, you could be working on, location of a pitch or something, and like hitters will take advantage of that. But in the big leagues, you're trying to win every at bat, and if there's a weakness, they're just gonna abuse it.
Is that true about like young guys and rookies who come up for the first time who are still trying to figure out big league pitching and the speed of the game and stuff? Like, can you tell like very early on, like if a rookie is going to be able to figure it out quickly, if for like you see a hitter that's like, okay, he's clearly not at that level yet, could probably get away with, getting him out here.
I mean, everyone develops differently. Obviously, there's been a bunch of rookies lately that have come up and just absolutely, taken over. But I mean, yeah, it's some guys it doesn't click right away, and you need like, a little bit of time to just get comfortable, and then there's some guys that will just take off right away.
Yeah. No, I say that just because, like, growing up as an Orioles fan, like they would call prospects up and they would look lost for the first like 3 months of the year. And it's like, it's that whole like, you rake in AAA and then you come up and you still like it's not something's not there yet. But yeah, I'm wondering as a pitcher, like if you can kind of tell, like, okay, top prospect comes up, strikes out all the time. Like, all right, this is gonna be fun.
Yeah, I mean, it's just about how quickly a player can adjust because once a team finds that weakness, they'll keep going right after it, and then if the young guy will adjust or not, then that's when that they've taken that next step.
I wanted to ask because so the first month of this season, it didn't necessarily go the way that you had planned. I was wondering that like through the month of April this year, if you had ever considered like making any drastic changes or how you kind of viewed your first body of work that first month back.
Yeah, obviously, the first month wasn't great. Just wasn't, going deep into games, giving up a lot of runs. I mean, the biggest adjustment we made was moving on the to the left side of the rubber, more towards the first base side. For me, I was already a little bit shaded on that side, but now we're just a little bit more drastic. Um, I think it just creates like a little bit of a weirder angle for some of these righties that I was struggling with. And then, I mean, the biggest piece has just been, leverage counts, getting the first pitch strikes, getting to, 0-2, 1-2 right away. In those outings that I had that weren't very good were, I think league average to get to 0-2, 1-2 is like 62%. And I was at like 40 or 50%. So it was like just, getting behind a lot and, having to throw fastballs to, get back into counts. And then guys were kind of just, teeing off on that. And then once we, kind of, changed the mindset of, wanting to, get ahead with, either if it's off speed or heaters in the zone. Once, all my good outings, I've had, good numbers with that.
Did you ever think that like just like changing the spot on like the rubber would have such a drastic effect? And is that something that you had experimented different positions there before?
Yeah, I've moved around a little bit, a bunch of my career. I think I kind of settled on like a little bit towards the middle in Japan just because, I just wanted to be consistent. I mean, there was really no rhyme or reason for it. Just kind of, stuck with a little bit in the middle. And then once I came here, they wanted to move over. And I don't really notice much of a difference when I'm out on the mound. But if it creates, a weirder angle for the lefties or the righties, then, it's something that, we'll take advantage of.
Are there non-pitching things you could do to change the vibes up? Is it like you change the socks, you change the song? Like, what are the non-pitching things?
I mean, I'm not very superstitious. I try not to be just because, I don't want to have to rely on something like that. But I mean, maybe like change up the glove or something like that. I mean, I've thrown away a hat or two after a bad outing, but I mean, it's nothing crazy.
You ever take the full uni shower?
I have not. I think that's more of a hitter thing when things aren't going good, you kind of, wash it all off. But I've, you know, haven't gone that low yet.
I have to ask because like the socks with stirrups is like my favorite look in baseball, and I'm wondering how you came to be a socks with stirrups guy. What was your evolution to that?
So when I first got to spring training this year, we had the socks with stirrups, and I asked the clubby for just regular black socks, and he gave them to me. But he's like, "You're not allowed to wear these in games. It's a team rule. You have to wear the stirrup ones." And I was like, "Oh, all right, whatever." So I wore that for however long, and then when we signed Grichuk, he goes pants up a lot, and he was like, why do we wear these stirrups? They look so stupid. And so he's like, I'm gonna ask someone to see if we can figure out how to get a change. And I think he went to one of the assistant GMs and asked if we can change it, and they like asked, I guess, someone higher than them, and then they were like, yeah, that's not a rule. You guys can wear the black ones. I don't know where you guys came up with that rule. So he made the switch, and I like the black one, the all black one better. So I was glad that we were able to make that switch.
That's fantastic. It's like how the Yankees have like laxed up on like the facial hair rule. It's like, yeah, you guys can just wear whatever socks you want. It doesn't have to be a
Yeah,
thing.
yeah.
How did it feel to get that first win this season? I looked and it had been 5 years in between the time you got in your last major league win. How special was that for you?
Yeah, I mean that was awesome. I think it was against the Royals, and yeah, I mean, just to know what I've been through, the grind of being a reliever and then going to Japan for a couple of years and coming back and having some success was really cool.
Did you like keep the ball? Do you like yeah have like some memorabilia going from the season?
I don't think I got that ball. I think I tried to, but I don't remember who closed the game, and I don't remember what exactly happened, but I don't think I ended up getting it.
How's the merch closet at the K household doing? Is it overflowing?
I mean, we have so much merch from Japan, like it's insane. The amount of like shirts or like towels or like random stuff that they'll make for like any random game that you win is incredible. And every time they made something different, my wife had to grab like five of each one. And so we got a lot of Yokohama Bay Stars gear just hanging around.
That's the best. I feel like last time you were on, your background was a little different. You had all the jerseys hanging up too, so that's probably a different location. Yeah.
Yeah, that was back home in New York. I had the USA jersey, the Futures game jersey, and my debut jersey.
Dude, that's the best. I feel like this year's White Sox team, we talked about it a little bit before we started recording. It just feels like you guys have like a different attitude and a different vibe this season. It just feel like you guys are like playing with more grit, more edge. Is that a fair assessment? And like, what is it like being a part of a clubhouse like that?
Yeah, I mean we have a lot of young guys that are super excited to be in the big leagues, and I think they all have a chip on their shoulder to kind of prove to them, to prove to everyone that they belong, and I think it kind of rubs off on everyone, and I mean it's been super fun to be a part of. It's kind of like just a bunch of like it kind of reminds me of like when we all played in college, of like just a bunch of you know just a bunch of our boys just going out and playing baseball, and we're having so much fun with it, and it's been super fun to be around.
You had a quote this year, which was fantastic. This is when you and Caglione had a stare down. You said, "I don't think we're going to take that anymore. We're going to go right at them." Um, does that like does a team feed off that energy, and like where does that whole attitude vibe get cultivated? Is it a couple of the guys that like you're part of the older veteran crew of the White Sox this year? Like, is that something that's like developed organically, or is that like something you guys have made a point of emphasis?
I mean, I think it came organically. I feel like, just all the guys that we have on this team have been, kind of had that, kind of, I guess, attitude their whole career, like whether it's been, college or, coming up to the minor leagues. I think a lot of these guys, kind of have that, winning mentality and that mentality of, we're not going to take it, we're going to bring it to you guys. And I think, everyone feeds off that energy, and it's been super fun to be a part of.
Yeah, obviously, like the White Sox have been one of the best stories in baseball this season. Just like everything they went through a couple years ago with 100 plus losses to this year being in first place. Like, was that something that like drew you to want to sign with the White Sox? Was just like the opportunity to like turn around like one of the like proud franchises of baseball and like build something?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you saw that they had a pretty good second half last year, and you kind of saw the potential that, all these guys had. They had, all these, prospects coming up. You had some of the success in the guys that were already in the big leagues. And I think, signing here was, kind of, just wanted to help, be a part of turning it around. And, I don't think anyone saw, us doing it this quickly, but I think there's a belief in this clubhouse that we can do it, and yeah, it's been really fun to experience it and see the excitement of all the South Side fans back at the rate, and they're packing the place out.
Dude, that's the best. I wanted to ask about one of my new favorite players in baseball. It's Sam Antonacci. Um, guy's a dog. Guy's a gamer. He leads the, I think he leads the AL in hit by pitches, and he was hit like twice in the same inning this year at one point. What does the dugout think when he just goes up there and wears it every single game?
Oh, we love it because we know he loves it. He's just, he's going up there and he's just, it's kind of just like the mentality that we have that like we're going to do anything possible to win a game, and if it's not getting out of the way of a pitch and getting on base for the guy behind you, like that's what we're going to do. And I think when he bats lead off and gets on base, whether it's a hit by pitch or a hit, and it's been we all feed off that energy and kind of roll with him.
Yeah, scrap claw by any means necessary. Yeah, it's like him and Ty France. I feel like the two guys are just like they'll just show up and just like bruised every single game. When a guy stands that close to the plate and is like definitely not afraid to wear it, like as a pitcher, how do you approach that? Like, how do you like? Obviously, Anthony Rizzo for so many years was on the plate. Like, how do you pitch to somebody that's right there?
I mean, yeah, I feel like the guys that are close to the plate, you kind of want to pitch inside just because that's probably their hole for the most part. So I feel like that's probably why he gets drilled a lot. Um, yeah, I mean, I'm leading the league in hit by pitches for pitchers, so I definitely know my way around drilling guys this year. So we have the leader in hit by pitches, and then we on the other side we have Sam who's leading the league and getting hit by pitches. So it's definitely a interesting team we have so far.
I feel like because like I said, I watched that Guardian start the last time. Like you're really effective pitching inside to righties. Is that just like part of your game plan though? That like you that to like be effective, you're gonna have to pitch inside there and occasionally hit them.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, a lot of the hit by pitches I have this year on like are like sliders or sweepers that just like hit them in the toe. But yeah, I mean, that's part of it. I mean, you're gonna hit guys. You can't be afraid of it, and you just gotta, keep going after guys and not worry about, you know, the result, I guess.
Have you ever gotten like gun shy from like pitching inside after hitting too many people, or are you just like that's you're gonna keep on doing it?
No, I mean that's part of it. I mean, they might get a little angry about it, but there's not really much we could do about it. It's part of the game. If they're gonna, get angry about it, I guess it kind of adds a little bit of a edge to me to, knowing that they don't like it in there. Might just have to keep going back in there.
Um, back to Antonacci though, like I mean, this guy he's a quote machine. First of all, he said baseball is a team sport. If you're mad about giving up 2 runs in the ninth, take your ass and go play tennis. Um, like I was listening to Vassal's he was on the TV broadcast and he said he's crazy in the best way possible. What is the Sam Antonacci experience like?
Yeah, I mean, like what you see on the field is like the complete opposite of what he is as a person. Like he's like super like quiet kid and like doesn't say much, but like when you get him on the baseball field, like Mike said, like he's crazy in the best way possible. Like he'll run into a wall for you in the outfield. He'll, dive. Like he'll do literally whatever it takes to win a baseball game, and it's awesome.
I didn't know this. He's never played outfield before. Then he's
Yeah,
like a really good defensive outfielder now.
he's like 40 games into learning how to play left field, and he's been pretty good at it.
That's the best. Last time you were on, we talked a lot about Murakami. This was before, obviously before the season in like December. There was a lot of like talk back then. I was just like, we're not sure if this guy's gonna pan out in the major leagues. Everybody who said that was like wrong in like the worst way possible. Like, obviously, like he's got lead league in homers. He's got 20 or something. It's like, what has impressed you the most about his game this year in Chicago?
I mean, obviously, I saw him 2 years in Japan. I knew he was going to be, special. I saw, all the things that he did over there, firsthand. Um, I mean, I think the most impressive thing for me is, kind of how he goes about his day. Like just like the work ethic, that it takes for him to get ready for a game has been incredible. And, it's been really good for, a lot of the younger guys to see it and kind of, see what they got to do. Obviously he's pretty young himself, but for him to, kind of have that plan each and every day is, really special to see.
Yeah, like you mentioned, you saw him in Japan, like, and obviously you've pitched over there and you pitched over here a lot. Like, why do you think he came into this season like with a lot of people doubting him? Like, what was it about like his style that you think people were hesitant on?
I mean, he swings. I think he was like top five in the league in strikeouts, which, I mean, that's not even a bad thing anymore in today's game. So I think people were very, reluctant on, they saw the swing and miss in Japan and kind of, I guess, didn't think it would translate. But I mean, the pitching over there is, just as good. So I don't see why, it wouldn't have translated. And then, to see the success that he had so early on was really cool to see.
What kinds of hitting do translate from Japan to here? Do like the flat swing slap contact? I feel like that's a tough. Guys will come over hit 350 over there, and they'll come here and kind of struggle a little bit.
Yeah, I mean that's a little bit harder because I feel like if you don't have the power, it's a little bit of a harder game to I feel like some of it could be lucky, just hitting in the right spot and stuff. But if you have someone with power like Mune and he's gonna hit the ball over the fence, like I don't see why it wouldn't have translated.
Yeah. Speaking of hitting the ball over the fence, I saw a quote where you're like, "I'm not scared of giving up the solo home run," which is great because, like, as a starting pitcher, yeah, I mean, obviously sometimes they're going to go over the fence for you. Was that a difficult mindset though to go from like reliever brain, like I can't give up any home runs, to back to being a starter, like it's okay?
Yeah, just kind of like that mentality that I had earlier, like talking about like just getting ahead, like just can't worry about giving up damage, especially early on in the game with no one on. Like it's just something that it's going to happen in this game. Everyone has got so much power now. It's like you just got to worry about getting ahead of guys and attacking guys. And if you give up a solo homer, it's not the end of the world, and you kind of just got to live with it and keep going.
Yeah. So the three fastball approach for you is something that you've picked up and it's worked out really well for you. I've been reading and like seeing a lot of stuff that just like every pitcher today has three fastballs, and it's like I don't know if it's like a trend or it's like something in the pitching development that is like really prevalent now. As somebody who like debuted in the big leagues in 2019 and obviously is pitching right now, like how have you kind of seen the evolution of pitchers and adding fastballs? Is that just like a recent phenomenon?
Yeah, for sure. I think when I first came up, it was like more about like four seams at the top of the zone, and then kind of tunnel everything off that with like curveballs. And now it's I feel like gone more east and west game. So you got the sinker and the cutter, and then you can pop the four seam at the top of the zone. And I think the game has definitely evolved. I feel like this always happens. Like the game has the waves of what's working. Like you saw like the sinkers and cutters like probably like 10, 15 years ago. So I think the game just kind of is reactionary to what's working. And if it works for one guy, they're going to try and get it to work for everyone. And then I think it'll just keep flip flopping with whatever is working.
How many pitches total do you throw?
I throw a six now.
Wow. Did you
I
ever
learned
think
a I learned a slider this year, probably like a month into the season. So that's added another pitch to the arsenal.
Yeah, is it hard though when you have that many pitches to keep them all sharp and like if they're all like making sure they have to like work every single game?
Yeah, for sure. But I mean, the good thing is that if one of them isn't working, you can kind of just eliminate it, and you still have five good ones. There was one of my starts in Seattle where I think I threw like 60 pitches in the first two innings because I was just like super adamant about getting the sweeper over for a strike. And then I think I threw like 15 in the first two innings, and maybe like two of them were strikes. And so after the first two innings, we were just like, all right, we're just not going to even worry about throwing that anymore. And we just stuck with the other stuff. And then I ended up, making it through, a couple more innings and ended up getting, you know, I think into the sixth inning.
What was it about wanting to throw the sweeper for a strike that you were so adamant about it?
I mean, that's just like kind of what I do. Like if I need to, steal a strike early on, I don't want to throw a heater. That's like my go-to, strike pitch. and it just wasn't working that day for whatever reason. And we tried pretty much everything to get it going, and it just didn't work. And we kind of just banged it and just moved on to the next plan.
One thing I also hear too about pitching now is like there's no true fastball counts anymore. How do you approach a situation like that? Like where the guy wants a fastball, but like I feel like everybody has enough pitches that aren't fastballs that like you can still land something for a strike.
Yeah, I mean that's the good thing about throwing three different fastballs, that even if you don't want to throw four seam, you can still maybe throw a cutter or a sinker to kind of keep him off the barrel, and you know throw something hard if you still want to.
What's the best feeling as a pitcher? Like what kind of way of getting somebody out really get you going?
Um, Probably like the front hip or the back door two seam. That's probably my go-to. You get someone looking on one of those. That's probably my favorite.
Dumb question. You had a lot of like strikeouts the other day of just like check swings. I feel like it was like probably half of them. It was like the everybody was pointing down. What like as a pitcher, what does that tell you when you're getting a lot of check swings? Is that can you read into that at all, or is it just like they want to swing, they stop? Like how do you view that?
Um, I don't think you really view it really as anything. I think you kind of just see that. I think they're probably looking for like a certain pitch in a certain location, and then if you throw like a slider off of that location or something, that's probably fooling them. And I think it's kind of just goes to like back to like that tunneling thing of kind of going towards one location and kind of throwing stuff off of that.
Yeah. What has been your overall impression of the ABS challenge system this year?
I think it's been pretty good. I mean, the zones are a little bit tighter, I think. You see the walk rates up a little bit this year across the whole league. I still think there's a little bit of room to work at the top of the zone. Like I feel like it's super short, and you see a lot of the challenges lost this year. I feel like are at the top of the zone because guys still don't really have like a feel for what's a strike and what's not up there. But I mean, I think it's been a success. I mean, you see, teams need to be strategic with it. Guys need to be, can't use it in certain spots if you only have one left. And I think it's, added a little bit of suspense in some of these situations when, when guys challenge. And I think it's been, really fun for, the fans to see that. And it's been cool to be a part of.
Have there been pitches that like you personally want to challenge, but like I feel like there's an unwritten rule where pitchers are like for the most part you leave that to the catcher, right?
Yeah, you got to trust your catchers. There's been a couple this year where I wanted to, but I didn't. But yeah, I mean, these guys, they're so good behind the plate with, receiving and making everything look like a strike that, I gotta keep reminding myself not to challenge and trust those guys. And, they've been doing a really good job back there and, working hard to, kind of figure it out.
Have you noticed? Because like as a fan, I watch, especially in the early innings of games, it feels like hitters are like more hesitant to challenge stuff, and they want to kind of like save them for the rest of the game. Is that like a thing? Is that like a strategy thing that you guys have learned that like first couple innings, like nobody's challenging anything?
Yeah, I mean, you want to save it at least one for, the back end of the game, but ideally you want to keep two. There's been some times where guys challenge early and they lose it, and it kind of it kind of leaves you in like a little bit of a rut because there's some other ones that you want to challenge in like the third, fourth, or fifth inning with guys on, and you can't because you only have one and you want to save it for later. But yeah, I think everyone's still kind of learning this zone and figuring out strategies of when to and when not to. And I think it's just gonna teams are gonna keep building, a little bit of a plan towards it. And I think, teams will get more strategic with it.
It's just frustrating because like every out, there's the each out is for the most part like the same. So like I'm watching
Yeah.
like second inning and like I'm like the challenge, please. It's way
Yeah.
off the plate.
Yeah.
um, just yeah, just frustrating when like the time of the game it dictates when. So like if you have it, why not use it? I don't know. It just doesn't make any sense.
Right.
Um, is there anything about the pre ABS days that you miss?
Um, I don't think so. I mean, I feel like it's been overall like a pretty good, you know, experience for everyone. I think there's probably going to be some more ways that they try and, change it up a little bit in the next couple of years, but I think, we're in a pretty good spot right now.
Wasn't it fun though, kind of like learning the umpire and like learning his specific zone and like doing your homework and you're like, okay, I think I can get away with something here and like wasn't that kind of fun though to learn about those guys?
Yeah, for sure. One thing I do miss actually is managers getting ejected arguing balls and strikes. That
Yes.
you don't really see ejections anymore. So I think, I mean, it's a little bit more rare now. There's really not much for them to argue anymore with all the challenges. And so that's one thing I miss is, some of these managers getting, fired up and getting ejected.
I do miss that too. That was fun. Yeah, you're right. It is kind of hard to argue with a robot. They some try,
Yeah.
like don't get me wrong, there are some guys who still get angry about it, but I read something, I think it was like a Fangraphs article. It was like umpires have traditionally made 3-0 counts, like anything close on a 3-0 count, they're calling it a strike. Have you noticed that?
Yeah, definitely. I feel like that was more of like pre-ABS. Now they know they can challenge stuff, so I feel like they got to stick to their, standard zone. But yeah, I think ideally, they want to open it up and kind of not have as many walks. But with the ABS now, it's kind of you kind of can't really do that anymore.
Yeah, I think they said that like for the most part, umpires in 3-0 counts, they wanted to like expand the zone to be like compassionate, to be like, they wanted to be a little more generous in that count. But they
Yeah,
said only 2% of pitches in 3-0 counts are challenged, which is the lowest, and 3-2 is obviously that's the highest count
yeah.
rate. Um, yeah, what is your 3-0 approach to guys?
Probably just like usually just a heater. Hopefully that they're taken. Just try and get back in the zone, and I mean, I feel like most of the time guys are taking, but obviously there's some guys that you know that are going to be swinging, so you kind of got to be careful a little bit.
Yeah. Do you know who on the White Sox is the best or has won the most challenges? Is this like a thing you guys keep track of?
I'm sure the hitters do. I don't know.
Oh,
I there's been I could tell you who's not the best. We've
uh,
gotten there's been a couple times where Antonacci has challenged a couple that have been like full ball in the zone, and we let him have it. Like it's all fun, but we let him know that he missed another one, but it's fun. We're gonna keep letting him be him and using those challenges.
I like that dynamic of just like lighthearted shame. Just like, hey man, what were you thinking there? What did you
Yeah, I mean
see?
that's kind of what we all do as a team, like with everything. Is like we're gonna bust everyone's chops, and it's all in good fun though. Like we're not trying to bring anyone down or anything like that, but we're just having fun with it.
I think Murakami has won the most. I think he has 8 success. Baseball Savant, which is like my favorite website now. They track everything, and so there's like a whole leaderboard. So, um, do pitchers look at Baseball Savant and like players? Do they look at it like fans do?
Definitely. Yeah.
Okay.
I definitely catch myself on there every now and then, just not looking at my page personally, but looking at like other guys' page, like some of my friends on other teams, see how they're doing and see what's going on with them.
Yeah, isn't it fun though to just see like how deep of red you could see like their little like breakdowns are? Like that's my
There's
favorite
so
part.
much information on that page. It's crazy.
Yeah, what's like the nerdiest thing that like maybe not necessarily for yourself, but that you just like looking at stats for?
For me, it's like the fielding of a lot of the guys, because like you can't like you can go on like baseball reference and see how a guy's hitting, but you can't like go on you got to go on baseball savant to see like their range or whatever and see what their DRS is or whatever they have on there.
Do you think there's too many stats in baseball, or do you think that you should be able to use like every number that's available? Like you're trying to like it's another tool in your bag to keep up with stuff.
There's definitely way too many stats. But I mean whatever works, I mean some guys look everyone looks at different stuff, so I think each stat can be used for whoever, and I think it's nice to have, but there's definitely a lot of numbers where I feel like people will fit their narrative with whatever stat is or isn't good for whoever they're trying to, make look good or make look bad.
Yeah. I think it's just all about like filtering like out which ones like you want to use. I'm a big expected guy. So like I'll look at expected ERA, I'll be like he's super unlucky or whatever. It's like
Yeah.
I find myself using that one way more than I thought I ever would. It's like he's not that bad of a hitter. Like his expected average is good. So like he'll level out.
Yeah.
Um
Yeah. I mean, there's all like means to the regression or to with those expected stuff. And, you can see if guys are about to break out, I guess, if things aren't going their way.
yeah. Um Dumb question again. How do players feel about midweek games that start at like lunchtime? Because as a fan, I hate it.
Um, well, most of the times that like midweeks are getaway days for teams, so they're traveling or whatever. So, I mean, I don't think we enjoy playing at, 1 p.m., but for travel logistics, I feel like it's necessary.
Yeah, I mean that's fair, and you guys need time to get get traveled to the next city and stuff. But just like it is hard when like I'll look at my phone and it's like all of the my team's already played today, and I didn't even
Yeah,
like.
that's tough.
I feel like there's more of them this year than there has been. That could just be like a out of touch take, but just like I feel like there's way more getaway games this year. Is that a
Yeah, I
thing?
feel like I feel like we've played a lot of day games this year, whether it's like Saturday, Sunday, or like like a Wednesday, like travel day. Like I feel like we played a lot.
As a starting pitcher on a short day, like a lunchtime start day, like how does that compress your routine? And does it like do you find yourself pitching any differently during the day games?
I mean, I feel like everyone's got their own routine for like day games and stuff, so I don't feel like it changes too much. I don't think you really change how you pitch day game, night game either. I think you kind of just, stick with the game plan that you have.
I like that. All right, last question. I was looking at just like walkout songs for this year, and first of all, yours is incredible. It's the Johnny Cash song, right?
No, that's old.
That's old. I was looking at the wrong
Yeah,
one.
yeah.
Damn it. Well,
So
what is the current one?
they play our walkout song at the rate when we walk in from the bullpen to the dugout. And then when we're warming up in the top of the first, they play like this Thunderstruck remix every single day. And we're so sick of it. But it's like it's a White Sox like classic apparently that they've been playing it for years. And we're we obviously want to listen to our own, walk up song to get us fired up as a starting pitcher, but if it's a tradition that you kind of gotta stick with it.
Well, what? Okay, well, what is the song that they play in that like minute long walk from the bullpen then?
For me, it's BM Junior by Lil Wayne, but they only play the instrumental, so they don't have any. There's probably too many curse words on there for
Yeah.
them to play, so I just get the instrumental, but it's pretty good.
Yeah, the radio edit version would just be like long, like the whole thing would be just like
Yeah,
silence. Dang. Yeah, I mean that's hilarious that like you guys don't even get a chance to listen to because that's the best part. I feel like as a pitcher, like when you're taking them out in the warm up pitches, it's just like, all right, it's my song. We're getting 2 minutes of this, and it's like don't even
yeah.
get a
No,
chance
you
to do
get the
that.
Thunderstruck remix next time you watch a game, you'll hear it because we joke around about it in the dugout that it's a new song, but they play the same one every single time.
Have you ever pitched at Nationals Park?
Um, Maybe during COVID in 2020, but I don't think so.
It's they have the bullpen golf cart that you take
Oh, yeah,
relievers in.
I've seen some guys take that. That's pretty good.
It's not enough though. If there's only a couple of guys that are taking it, it's not enough because it's the most underutilized, hilarious thing. They bring everybody. They'll bring the card out, and then obviously nobody gets in, but they still have to do the lap. So like it's the saddest thing. So
Yeah, I
um,
don't know why more people don't take it. Save
that's what I'm
yourself
saying.
a run from the bullpen.
Guys, I guess they're so set in the routine. They like that like locked in run, but just like
Yeah,
take yeah.
yeah.
If you in the future, also interleague. how do guys feel about play? Because I was doing some research and like the American League is not doing well against the National League this year. How do you guys view the times when you play like the random like teams that aren't even in your like league? Like, do you like playing the the Dodgers and like the teams you rarely see, or is it like why are we doing this?
I think guys like it. I don't think guys like playing the same teams like 35 times in a year. So I mean, I enjoy it. You know, you get to see some ballparks that you haven't seen if you haven't visited them all yet. Um, yeah, I mean, I think it's a positive, you know, especially for fans too, you know, teams that don't get to see, you know, players like Shohei or stuff like across the other league. And I mean, I think it's a pretty good experience.
How many ballparks have you pitched in? Have you gotten 30 yet?
I haven't. I've only missed three stadiums. Well, I don't know about pitching in, but I'm missing Texas, Dodger Stadium, and the Rockies. So we go to Texas this year, so I'll just be missing two after this year. But as far as pitching in some, it probably is not as many.
Do you have a favorite out of the ones that you have visited?
Um, I mean, Yankee Stadium obviously is special to me. Um, the rate's been great. Wrigley Field is awesome. Um, I like going to Fenway. It's a good spot. Um, yeah, I mean, they're all really cool in their own way, honestly. But those four are the ones that stick out to me.
That rocks. Yeah, it's like I feel like any of the historic ones, I feel like sometimes people are like complaining about like the amenities part of like the old stadiums, like oh the clubhouses is too small or whatever. But
Yeah,
like as a baseball, are you like a baseball nerd? I feel like that would just be like, yeah, Wrigley, Fenway, those are the ones you want to go
yeah,
pitch in.
yeah. I mean, Fenway, the clubhouse is terrible. I mean, the roadside at least. I don't know
Right.
what the home side looks like, but it's not ideal if you're going there and you're not pitching that series. You're just sitting in that flustered locker room. But yeah, I mean, when you're actually on the mound there and you get that atmosphere of the fans, it's really cool.
Yeah. I mean you probably don't miss when you were in Japan when you weren't pitching because those were you weren't even on the roster those
Yeah,
days. You
I
just
was
stayed
sitting
home.
at home.
It's crazy. All right, dude. Well, this has been so much fun. Like, I seriously, this means a lot to catch up every now and then. I'm a huge White Sox fan. I think it's me and your brother out there fighting the good fight on your behalf. So, it's it's I'm doing my part to try to keep the K Army going. But,
Thank
um,
you.
dude, it's been so much fun watching this year, and best of luck with the White Sox. You guys are killing it.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.